Joey Burns, Calexico, co-founder, along with John Convertino. Back in college in 1990, these guys came across each other and were like, hey, this seems like we could do this. And here they are, quite a few years later. I want to ask you, you guys look good, sound good, everything, you got a new record, your touring seems unchanged in some ways, but you just went through this crazy shutdown pandemic period. How did you fare?
Well, I think we did okay. And it took a little time. And one of the things that was sort of unusual is that in contacting one another, Sergio Mendoza decided to build a home studio out of a couple of shipping containers in his backyard. And so I kept on checking in on the progress, and he'd send pictures, and I kept on looking at the calendar, thinking, okay, so ideally we'd like this to be wrapping up pretty soon. But it was incredible. I mean, getting to go back to Tucson. I had just moved out of Tucson during the beginning of the pandemic with my family up to Boise, Idaho. So it was really fun getting to go back and get my first taco and reunite with my buddies.
But I know you guys are I won't say workaholics, but you're busy. You always have side projects going and working with other artists and making records and doing all the stuff and touring. So did you give yourselves permission to do nothing for a little while? Did you okay, I'm off and I'm here with my family and I'm gonna actually just kind of stop?
Pretty much, yeah. I mean, we were moving in and just kind of soaking it all up, being around trees and kind of looking at grass and wondering what to do. My daughters were really cute, and they were so used to the desert that they were a little bit kind of flinching every time they walked barefoot on the grass. Just what is this? It's kind of pokey.
I'm expecting something, yeah.
You come from the desert and you're reacting to the grass. But that's what I love about, change. And it's inevitable. It's natural. It's a part of our lives. And yet I think for sure I gave my permission to really try to listen to myself and really take the advice of my partner and my wife Nova and my kids and just kind of really chill out, try to relax, breathe.
Yeah.
I'll give you a really interesting example, right? My sister-in-law gave us a trampoline, and this is the first month of moving to Boise, beautiful summer, and we're bouncing on the trampoline, my daughters and I, and one of them falls, just lands wrong, and I hear this snap. I'm like, oh my gosh. And so I've been reading about breathing and breath work, and I told her, I said, hey, just sit here in my arms and let's just breathe together. And I threw my shirt over her leg so she wouldn't see that it was bent. And she worked through the stress. It was incredible. And I was that was a big moment for me, seeing that.
Because transpire. You didn't freak out that your daughter broke her leg?
I didn't know. I mean, my wife was just she was really glad that I was reacting the way I don't normally do. So it was just a freak out.
The pandemic made you less sympathetic.
Working on it.
Yeah.
Working on it, Nick.
So I do want to, Helen called you guys masters of border music, and I like that phrase, but it's a funny time we find ourselves in where the borders represent, I guess, scary stuff more than curious stuff. And is it a national lack of curiosity or because I know your whole career has been based on looking beyond your natural community and finding other ways to be inspired musically by other people from different cultures.
Yeah, or different genres, or different languages, or different styles of making a taco.
Yeah.
I mean, really, you can call it a taco, but it doesn't taste like the tacos in Tucson, which is Sonoran style, which is really Sonoran style is northern Mexico is the state of Sonora, but it goes, the idea of a border is imposed, but not the cultural impact, the environment, the wildlife, the air, the water.
Tacos cross borders easily, in other words.
They really do.
Yeah.
I'm glad we're talking about it. Sorry.
But I guess what I'm saying is that there is a moment where we find ourselves sort of nationally divided. There's lots of divisiveness, lots of...
that came later.
That's now.
I mean, it's kind of now, but aren't you guys done with that? Really?
Yeah.
I mean, coffee. Let's get together, have coffee. Let's find ways. Let's find those common grounds, right?
Yeah.
And
literally, yeah.
And I think through good food, there's really good coffee here in this town.
Yeah.
So I mean, there's that's a good influence, right?
Yeah. And you mentioned Sergio Mendoza, who must have either forgiving neighbors or a very big lot, because he put 2 shipping containers in his backyard and made a studio. He had a much bigger role in this record. So this El Mirador is your new record, and he had a larger role in that one.
Yeah, Sergio and John, really. I came to Tucson with only one musical idea, and I wanted John and Sergio and anyone else to really like bring ideas and try things. I kind of feel like we were talking about this backstage, like there's like a lot of songwriters have like the 3 songs that they can write. And I felt like I've definitely tapped into those like way too many times. And so I wanted new ideas and new perspectives. And again, that's why I love traveling and why I love playing music, because you get to meet a lot of people and try things that aren't in your wheelhouse and leave your comfort zone.
And his role as being the studio owner, and I guess having some engineering responsibilities and also some production, taking those ideas and sort of working with them and developing them. You've worked with producers before. You've worked with in other studios, recorded with a bunch of other people. Mm-hmm. This probably felt a little more like a happy medium between being in-house and having that extra outside energy.
Yeah, I mean, the reason why there's longevity with this group is because of the patience of Mr. John Convertino and Sergio Mendoza and a lot of others. I think that in the creative process, there can be really long days. If you watch that documentary about the Beatles, Get Back, and you see Ringo, he's always showing up on time and just ready to go. And he was the one who developed the little back pad on the drum stool, so that he could just be there at any moment, just ready to play. But he, just like John, offer a whole lot more. It's not just the drums. There's a presence. There's a depth. And Sergio as well. And Sergio was nice enough to let me live in his little casita. So we were roommates for a couple months during the summer of 2021. And so I owe a lot to Sergio and John and all the band, because it was sort of a really kind of like, where do you go after a big break like we've all been living? Is you just kind of you start over, right? You kind of go back home to your roots, to your friends. And so that's what we did. And I thought that the approach that everyone brought was really beautiful. Yeah. We tend to write in the studio, so we like to have a lot of time, a lot of days and nights just to be open and free.
That's very old-fashioned.
Yeah.
That's a very old-fashioned music business thing, and many of you may know that back in the 70s, record companies would hand bands giant chunks of money to go and spend months in the studio to write and be creative, and in some cases it worked. And but in this case, you've got that luxury because the band has the space that you can be creative and record in. It was awesome.
I mean, I try to write songs by myself, but they just don't sound any good. I need John, Sergio, Brian. I need a lot of.
Hey, there was Lennon and McCartney for a reason, right? That was it works better. So quickly, I know that you are touring a lot in Europe. You've got a whole sort of a different career arc in Europe than you do in the States. And I think, again, that's a sort of a testament to this natural curiosity. Mm-hmm. Some bands that have similar sort of diverse ingredients also get involved with film work. Are you guys doing any of that stuff?
Yeah, we have. I mean, we've touched a couple films over the course of the last 20 years, just little bits here and there, and some TV shows. And it's great when they just take a song of yours and they place it in a movie, because you don't have to do anything.
Yes. My band, my bluegrass band, Hot Rise, was lucky enough to have a song in a movie. It was the remake of The Blob that I think 7 people watched, and the royalty checks never came. But it was, a song in a movie.
Yeah. It's and that's, you never know.
You never know.
There might be Blob Part 3, and then they'll go back and revisit Blob.
You never know. Meanwhile, I just applaud your curiosity and the perseverance and the camaraderie that you exhibit on stage, and the infectious nature of what you do that we all get to benefit from.
Yeah, I just want to touch on one thing, because nowadays there is a bit of sort of a questioning authenticity or cultural appropriation. And from the get-go, John and I have been very supportive and really honoring a lot of the traditions that we are influenced by. And so again, on this record, I really wanted to bring in Sergio's voice, literally, like in Spanish, in Espanol, as well as some others like Jacob Valenzuela and some of our friends from the mariachi community who we've been playing with for over 20 years as well, on and off. And so I really kind of want to celebrate all that is Tucson, which is very open-minded, very curious, and positive. And I just felt like after having lived through a lot of, kind of animosity and diversity, it's like, wait a minute, whoa. Let's put on the brakes. Let's just get everyone back together in a way. All of us, not just a band, but a community, a planet, and focus on the essentials.
Yeah. Well, good job, and
Yeah,
may it spread that message of love and belonging as far as possible.
Yeah, man.
Yeah. Well, welcome back, Joey. So glad to hear
so
hear
good to
from
see
you. Always good to hang out with you guys. Welcome back, if you would, Calexico.
Thank you so much. We'd like to invite Helen up here to sing with us.